Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and we'll welcome you guys back to another 30 Days Reforged replay battle. Today we're going to be on point 97 once again, and this is a 2 versus 2 on the Great Lakes map, which is an old favorite. And it's actually a really entertaining game. I want to extend a big thank you to Muffins for sending this to me. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed watching this. But he's going to be playing as Dale, and he's brought 2 units of Dalian Cavalry, 2 units of Earls, and a pretty damn fine Dalian army, if I do say so myself. He's got, I believe, 2 to 3 units of the Dalian Spearmen, at least 2 or 3 units of the Barding Herd. He's also brought dismounted Earls, some other a little bit more specialized units, but not a ton of archers. Actually, as you can see, it's a Dalian rush comp, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to show this to you today. He's also brought some Black Shot Dragon Slayers, which are fantastic anti-cavalry deterrents. I think a lot of people maybe don't realize this, but armor-piercing archers, and the Black Shots in particular, with their slightly heightened damage, are very good at killing knights. So if you want to kill knights with a cheaper unit, and you want to do it from a distance, this is what you need to have. They do tend to kill them a little bit slower, but you stick one of these units on them for an extended period of time, and those knights will melt away. Just trust me. I think that's it. I think it's 3 Dalian Spears and all the other stuff that I described before, so it's a Dalian rush comp. Kind of cool to see, a little bit off meta, not something that you see every game. Moving on over here, we have his ally, and that would be the Orcs of Angmar. So we have strange bedfellows today, and they're going to be played by Angstvits. He's brought some Angmar Halberds, a bunch of units of them. He's also got a couple units of the Gundabad Guard as well, which come with their own new and shiny armor upgrade, which you're not going to see here today, but you can upgrade them up to twice, which is really cool. There's also some spears in here as well, and by spears I mean pikemen. There's a couple units of the Witch-Realm pikemen, 1 unit of the Trolls of Gundabad, and lots of Guardians of Karndum, none of which have their armor upgrades. More pikemen, more halberds. There's some hidden Snaga in here as well, some more Guardians of Karndum, and of course, the famous and the feared Witch-Realm Inquisitors. Love them. One of the best melee cavalry units in the game. Second to, I believe, only the Knights of Kobos Haven. There's also some Orc Fellers and maybe some hidden missile units. It's kind of hard to tell, but Angst is also going to be packing some wargs to supplement his melee knights. And that's going to do it for the blue team. Let's go ahead and see what Team Red is bringing to the battle today. Across the field from Dale, we are going to have the Mighty Knights of Dol Amroth, and today they're going to be commanded by GOC Lord Griffiths, who I actually had the pleasure of playing with, and I think you guys will probably see that match before this one comes out. And he was really good, and I'm very happy to say that he performs very well in this battle as well. He's brought some Knights of Kobos Haven, but he's also doubled down on his knights and brought a second knight unit, the Arathirum of Dol Amroth. He's also got the Parathil Riders in addition to, and the Dornernal Archers. I think there's a couple units of the Dornernal Archers with no armor upgrades, 2 units of the Black Swan Renegades, 1 unit of the Guards, or are they Champions or Guards? Guards of Kobos Haven, I can't really remember anymore. There's the other company of archers. We've got a nice mixed front line here of Athelon Men-at-Arms and Athelon Halberdiers. A really good pick against Dale for a few reasons. Now, of course, they can flood their army with some cheaper pikes, like the Lake Town pikes. Actually, now that I think about it, there were a few Lake Town pikes present on Dale's side of the battle as well. Just want to quickly mention that there are 3 units of Lake Town pikes. But as I was saying, the Halberdiers are a great pick to bring against Dale, especially if you suspect that they're going to bring a lot of their heavy infantry. The Earls and the Barding Herds are pretty tough units, and the Halberds can trade fairly cost efficiently with them, especially if they're supported with some decent and numerous units like the Athelon Men-at-Arms, for example. 2 units of Belfloss Marines as well. Obviously a very AP heavy build. There's the second company of the Black Swan Renegades over here. Did he bring 3? Yeah, no, he just brought 2. So 2 companies of the Black Swan Renegades, and of course the Guards of Kobos Haven. Over on this side, got 1 company of Knights of the Silver Swan, and I think he might have some Swan Knights, like the melee cavalry Swan Knights, hiding around here someplace. But in any case, a really nice army, and one that is going to give this particular Dale rush composition, I think, a little bit of pause. Moving on now to the ally of Dol Amroth, we have the Realm of Imladris being played by R.H. Inarius. He's brought 1 company of Eldarinway Archers, 1 company of Gwythiartha, and 2 companies of Eldarinway Spearmen, 1, 2, 3 companies of the unupgraded Imladris Guardians, one company of the Imladris Sentries, 1 company of Archers Rivendell, 1 company of Bruinen River Wards. You'll have to excuse the Discord notification in the background, where I'm going to turn that off for the battle. And surprisingly enough, 1 company of Cavalry. Actually, no, I think he's got a second one maybe hidden somewhere. He's definitely got some Eldarin Cavalry and some hidden riders of the Bruinen as well, in addition to the Gwythi Rocktor. So that's going to do it for our army compositions. Let's go ahead and jump into this very intense 2v2 match. Hope you guys enjoy it. So here's not something that you see every day. Dale is going to rush across the field towards the Dol Amroth lines, and there's something I'd like to point out here. Both allies for these players in the center have pretty well committed to the same strategy. Angmar is going to come to the aid of Dol Amroth. However, they do start quite a ways away. Well, looks like Angmar actually has some hidden barrel whites in here as well. And who knows what else. Got some goblin trackers over there as well. But yeah, they're going to beeline towards their allies and come in as the second wave. And the first blood is going to be drawn by the first player in each team. So Dol Amroth squaring off with Dale. Go ahead and increase speed here a little bit, just so we can get to the action that much faster. And Imladris is, of course, moving in to reinforce their ally in measure. Although, for whatever reason, they've opted to leave their Gwythi Rocktor behind. I don't quite know why that would be. Although it doesn't really matter too much, the Gwythi Rocktor can cover ground quite quickly, but nonetheless, yeah, seems like a little bit of a micro mistake there. Ooh, let's go ahead, slow it down. We've got the Earls moving in to engage the Warriors of Dol Amroth. Parathil Riders, who I think we missed in the army composition phase as well. Wow, really slipping in my game here, guys. But the Parathil Riders are going to fire into the Earls as they chase them. The Earls are going to be pretty well nonplussed by that, since arrows won't hurt them. I'll tell you what will hurt them, though. A charge from the Knights of the Kobos Haven, and the Arthur of Dol Amroth are going to move in to try and delay the arrival of some of the Dalian infantry. What do we have over here? Looks like a charge from the Knights of the Silver Swan was mounted against the Dalian lines, trying to break up the advance of Muffins, which is a great tactic to use against a rush. If you can make a rush uncoordinated, well, then you've pretty well defeated that rush before the game's even started. But it did cost him quite a lot. And it seems like Muffin is really just going to use a token force in the center here against these blocks of men-at-arms and halberdiers, and instead he's going to try and flank around with the majority of his infantry. He's got a lot of Barding Herd here, a lot of the Dalian Spearmen, lots of Earls and things like that as well, and some Blaketown Pikeman reserves, and he's got his Blackshot Dragon Slayers in close attendance as well, so that he can pressure the Dol Amroth cavalry. Over on this side, it's looking like hell. The Dalian Spearmen have gotten engaged with Knights of Kobos Haven. Knights of Kobos Haven are going to be able to stand up to that, the spear bonus of the Dalian Spearmen for quite a while with their high armor and melee defense. But Dol Amroth is now falling back. Beautiful charge here by the Gwythi Rocktor as his ally, Dol Amroth's ally that is, comes to his aid. And the Wargs are going to rush in at the same time, followed by a wave of Dalian Spearmen. And the Gwythi Rocktor, not going to like this fight. Not going to like it at all, and Dol Amroth doesn't really seem to be interested in helping out his ally, but that being said, there's a lot of Elven infantry already on their way, and I think that Dol Amroth is going to need his knights elsewhere, because of course, if we pop to the other side of the field, we can see some nasty things on the horizon. Got the Earls over here, and I think Angmar indeed have also arrived with their own unit of melee knights, so Dol Amroth is going to need all hands on deck on his right wing if he's going to beat back this assault. And it seems like Muffins is going for a little bit of a non-standard approach. He's going to try and pressure the wings with the majority of his forces instead of engaging the halberds man-to-man all along the line, which is a good idea. If you don't have to fight a costly line engagement against a force like Dol Amroth, who is obviously very well prepared for this kind of Dalian army, well, then don't. You do not necessarily have to. Dol Amroth is going to have to quickly effect a reform maneuver, but Muffins is already on top of it. Barding Herd not too far away and very, very much within striking distance of the Dol Amroth army as their line bends back to try and match the maneuvering of FFA Muffins and his Dalish army. Up here on the hill, lots of stuff ready to thunder down against the warriors of Dol Amroth, and there's not a ton that they have in support here. Some Knights of the Silver Swan are nearby. I think Dol Amroth's Knights are maybe hidden somewhere in the trees here, which is why we can't see them. But yeah, there's enough cavalry here and enough spearmen to overwhelm the paltry cavalry force that the Lanroth is able to bring to bear. So unless they're going to get a little bit of help from the High Elves, and hopefully they do, the High Elves are nearby, this is exactly what they're here for, and then I think the Lanroth is going to be in a lot of trouble. Ah, there's the Knights. I thought they were already over here. Well, turns out that I was wrong. What do we got up here? Parathil Riders raining down death and destruction. Meanwhile, the Elves of Imladris have engaged the Dalian forces on the right, and the Barding Herd and the Dalian Spearmen supporting them, as well as the dismounted Earls of Dale, are in for a hell of a fight. There is Gwaith the Arthond here, there's Imladris sentries, all kinds of nasty stuff. And I think the Elves of Imladris are going to be ascendant in this engagement, at least for the time being. Taking a look over here, got some Warg Riders from Angsved's. Maybe he has 2 units, I can't quite remember. But he certainly has a ton of infantry here, and they are beelining their way towards Dol Amroth in support of Dale, who has already launched their kind of staggered assault here on the Dol Amroth line. And Dol Amroth is struggling. The Renegades and the Halberds and all this stuff is exactly what the Doctor ordered here, but there's just so many numbers and so many other diverse threats here. Dalian Spearmen going to be easily able to circumvent this Dol Amroth defense, and the Dalian Cavalry is going to be able to shut down the Belfloss Marines. This is why you want to have your Marines in defensive formation. They will, more times than not, throw a final volley after being engaged in melee. However, all it takes is one Earl, just like this, to touch a unit and to disrupt the whole process. It's not great. One volley is going to go off from the Belfloss Marines into the dismounted Earls. It's not going to be fun for Dale. Extended volleys here will collapse this line, though, and I think Dale knows that. So Muffins is going to move to engage the Belfloss Marines here, and this is going to be on Lord Griffiths. That's the one. It's going to be on Lord Griffiths for not putting his troops into defensive formation, and for kind of putting all of his eggs in one basket. Both of these units of Belfloss Marines are right next to each other, and consequently Muffins is going to be able to disrupt both of them with a single unit of cavalry. Naturally, he is going to lose this cavalry. There's a rear charge there from the Arathirium of Dol Amroth. We're going to make sure that these Earls are put to bed for good, but still, this is buying Muffins time. If these Belfloss Marines had been firing the entire time, he might have been able to melt this entire assault on his right wing, but instead Dol Amroth is going to have to engage them man-to-man in a costly line battle. And over here, the Dalian Spearmen getting ready to mount a serious assault, but Imladris thankfully has moved to engage. This is exactly what the Doctor ordered, and the Dalian Spearmen are going to get massacred by the High Elven Heavy Infantry. This is not the kind of fight that they are equipped to win. Maybe against other lower-tier mid-range infantry, they could do well, but against units like the Elves, or even like the champions, or guards rather, of Kobos Haven, Dalian Spearmen are going to be in for a hell of a fight. I don't think this is something that they're going to be able to win, so cavalry is going to be important here. And there go the Earls, broken by the addition of 2 units of Knights. And the Belfloss Marines are going to be free to do their bloody work, but Angmar! This has bought Angmar the time that they needed, and they have moved in against Dol Amroth. Now Dol Amroth is facing down the business end of no less than 2 armies at the same time. And the High Elves, they're doing their best, but for the most part, they're not exactly where they need to be. Look at this. A lot of missile units well positioned up on here to rain down hell upon Angmar, and Dol Amroth is getting some great value out of their Belfloss Marines. Look at this. This is a beautiful little gap in the line here that Angmar's, for the time being at least, unable to exploit, and those 2 companies of Belfloss Marines are going to rain down death and destruction here. But as I was saying earlier, the High Elves are not exactly where they need to be. There's the possibility for some flanking here that would go extremely well against the Angmar Halberds, and it's kind of something that needs to be done at this point, since there's only so many pole arms that Team Red has to go around, and you have to match the range of pole arm units like the Halberds, or more particularly the Witch Realm Pikemen, and you have to match that with something. And the armor piercing is advancing on the Delan men-at-arms, and they're going to be facing down no less than 2 halberd units. And this, I think, is where Dol Amroth is going to really, really struggle. Over here, they've done well. Nice charge here from the Orkfellers into the Orkfellers by the Knights of Kobos Haven. It's going to go well for Dol Amroth. But over here in their center, Dol Amroth is getting butchered, just absolutely slaughtered by the Barding Herd, and it's not something that I was able to really draw a lot of attention to earlier on in the game when you could see it clearly. But the men-at-arms were far too far forward, and they face down both of these units here without any support from the halberd. So effectively, Dol Amroth's army was taken apart piecemeal by the Iron Fist of the combination, a winning combination of Barding Herd and the Dismounting Earls. And now Dol Amroth is paying the price. A little bit of a mistake there, but honestly, that's an easy one to make in a chaotic battle like this. Black Swan Renegades doing their best to beat back the Earls. It's fairly even. I think there have been some cavalry charges into the back here, which have kind of evened things out a little bit. Black Swan Renegades and a combination of the Guards of Kobos Haven whacking apart the Dalian Spearmen. This is no problem. There's a fair amount of high elven infantry over here, supported by some cavalry. So this is where the red team is definitely at their strongest over on their right wing. But in the center, things are not so great, and a lot of it I think comes down to with the way that Inarius has deployed his reserves. Yeah, he's really overcommitted here. Again, he's kind of blobbed up in a lot of places as well, and it has really stopped his forces from being as effective as they might have otherwise been. Ooh, and this is where things get really dicey. So Muffins is the kind of player who is great with his reserves. He likes to keep things, depending on the strategy and you know, what's going on the battlefield. I've often found that he's very, very good at keeping things in reserve for when they are most needed. A lot of players play their hand really early, not Muffins. He's much more of a patient beast. And the addition of these 2 units of Dalian Cavalry, and now at the same time, the Lake Town Pikemen moving forward with their reserves, when Dol Amroth is pretty well stretched to their breaking point. It's just a good play. He's very much a chess player, and it's something that I really enjoy about playing with Muffins. Over here, the Witch Realm Inquisitors get a nice charge into the Belfloss Marines. Gwythy Rockdor charging into the rear of the Witch Realm Inquisitors. A nice javelin volley there from the 2nd Company of Belfloss Marines is going to make these Inquisitors pay with blood for this fairly successful charge into the Belfloss Marines, though I believe this unit was already out of ammunition. Down the line here, the Earls and the Barding Herd, they have smashed their way through the Dol Amroth line. Dol Amroth has put up a great fight, and they're continuing to do so. And especially with the help of the High Elves, they might be able to wrest control of their right wing back from the blue team, but not if Inarius doesn't hurry here. Look at this, just really, really unfortunate. The Enlightened Guardians just kind of sitting here, not really doing anything, and the Dale player is going to be able to move in and try and counter them. Over here, the Dalian Spears have been broken. That's going to free up a lot of Enlightened infantry. Hopefully, this is what is needed. A lot of these troops need to rush into the center, especially the Guards of Kobos Haven. They're going to be instrumental at keeping this this line here together, and there's a big gap here that could be used, I think, to great effect by the Warriors of Dol Amroth and by Imladris. The Witch Realm Inquisitors, having escaped the tender embrace of the Dol Amroth and Imladris units, have now charged into the rear of the Imladris Halberdiers, and this is really bad. They're a fear-causing unit. One of the things that we've overhauled in 0.97 is the spread of fear, and actually, no, now that I think about it, the Witch Realm Inquisitors only cause fear to cavalry, but nonetheless, that was a brutal hit in the rear from for the Adelan Halberdiers, and I was hoping that these Eldrinaway Spearmen would move in to reinforce the Dol Amroth line, but unfortunately they're not, and the Adelan Halberdiers are going to break with a fair amount of men remaining in the unit. But honestly, the amount of forces arrayed against them is just insurmountable, and you can't really expect a unit of mid-tier Halberdiers to hold their ground against like a 4-to-1 numbers advantage. Eldrinaway Spearmen kind of chasing the Witch Realm Inquisitors around the battlefield, but honestly, Inarius is kind of getting led on a bit of a goose chase here. Knights of Kobos Haven going in for a one-to-one interview with the Witch Realm Inquisitors. But yeah, this is infantry that needs to be deployed somewhere. There's Aerotherum nearby. They could be used to great effect, but although of course it is worth saying that they have their hands full with the Dalian Cavalry here. We've got a beautiful charge into those Dornernal archers, and the Archers of Rivendell are now looking pretty worse for wear as well. So up here, it's been not great. A lot of the skirmishing units for the red team have begun to get mashed up by Muffin's surprise assault with his cavalry here. Parathor Riders have been brought in against the Dalian Cavalry. Not a bad pick. Witch Realm Inquisitors, however, are pressuring them. And it seems like Lord of Griffiths is just trying to get them clear so they can continue to use his cavalry to their fullest effect. Ooh, Aerotherum of Dol Amroth going for a nice charge here against the Witch Realm Inquisitors. This could be lights out for the Witch Realm Warriors, these deadly Black Numenorians from Angmar. Oh yeah, the Aerothermic Dual Armor, they're definitely going to have something to say about this. And it seems like Dual Armor is kind of stabilized things a little bit. Nice rear charge here by the Knights of the Silver Swan into the Daily Cavalry shortly after they rear charge the Elder Rinway Archers. And now being pinned against these units, it's not going to go terribly well for them. And the Daily Cavalry are starting to get mashed up, especially by those Elder Rinway Archers. Look at them drop like flies. The Elder Rinway are no joke in melee, even the Archers. Over here, Imladris' forces have been pretty heavily surrounded, but they have beaten back the Dalians, and now they're giving it to the Witch Realm units. So things are going okay on the wings so far, but in the center, it's just a disaster. Dolomar's army has been swept away. Imladris was not able to move in and reinforce them in time, and now what troops they do have are pretty isolated. The Belfast Marines here fighting in the center, away from any support, about to get completely mashed up by some Guardians of Karn Doom and some other nasties from Dale as well. Lake Town Pikemen moving in to engage in the remaining Dol Amroth infantry and support what remains of the Earls and the Barding herd from the first wave. Black Swan Renegades over here, however, there's a unit looking pretty healthy and supporting the Imladris Guardians as well. These Lake Town Pikemen are going to be in for a little bit of a nasty surprise. Looks like the Guardians are managing to surround this unit of Lake Town Pikemen. There was not a lot left for the blue team to support their forces on this side. A lot of the Dalian Spearmen were just massacred. In fact, all of them. I believe the Earls were lost eventually. So this is a potential opportunity for the blue team, or rather the red team, to get a much needed win. They might be able to bring this back, at least on the right wing, and then they'll be able to wheel on the rest of the remaining blue team forces, but I don't know if it's going to matter too much. They've just really smashed through Dol Amroth's infantry in a really big way. Dol Amroth did great. They were fighting two armies at once. They had some really limited resources. They were being pressed in multiple areas by enemy cavalry. You can't really have asked more of the Adelan units than Dol Amroth did here, but I think this one is really on in Arius and his High Elves. If they had moved to engage in the center and to try and help him hold the line for just a little bit longer, they might have been able to inflict some pretty serious casualties and maybe start to swing the battle in their favor. But as it is right now, what remains of the red team forces are pretty isolated on two separate wings now that their center has completely collapsed. Ooh, a nice charge here by the Knights of the Silver Swan into the Angmar Halberd. It's not really the best idea. But this is a desperation play. Honestly, Dol Amroth is probably just playing for time, trying to even out the numbers gap. If we look at it right now, about 15% difference. 51 to 66. That's pretty nasty. Nice of the Silver Swan ping-ponging back now towards the Orc Fellers. An uphill charge, not always most effective, but Knights of the Silver Swan are really, really good Lancers, especially once they get going. This could be just what the doctor ordered. Look at them just driving into the heart of those Orc Fellows. Might be enough to rout them without any of Angmar's Inspire units nearby. Gotta hand it to Lord Griffiths. I've played with him once, and I've seen this replay, and he's just a really, really good, impressive player, and I'm really happy to have him in the Reforged community. Ooh, Elder Rinway Cavalry over here. I haven't seen much from these guys yet, but they could potentially swing this fight in favor. All that the High Elves have to do is just to hold on for as long as possible. But it seems like Muffin has brought the deadly Dalian Cavalry. These Light Lancers are amazing. They have performed pretty well so far. They've actually wiped out a lot of the Archer Corps, and I think we've seen them really keep the Dol Amroth Cavalry on the go and keep them really busy. Another potential rear charge here. Well, if they get into the Elder Rinway Spearmen, this defense here is going to collapse very, very quickly. Well, let's see what they go for. I'm going to kick things up to normal speed. I want to see what these Dalian Cavalry are all about. Ooh, a nice charge there into the guards of Kobos Haven. Muffin's using his light cavalry extremely well and efficiently, getting a lot of value off of those charges. Elder Rinway Cavalry, Riders of the Bruinen, they are definitely around, but I think they need to be over here trying to counter the Dalian Cavalry, because Muffins, if left alone with 2 units of cavalry, there's not a lot he can't do. Another rear charge here by the Dalian Cavalry, whittling down the numbers. This is a fight that Imladris should be winning handily, but unfortunately Inarius is not prioritizing his targets. He needs to defend his infantry here as best as he possibly can, and I think the Elder Rinway Lancers, or the Cavalry, are just they're just somewhere. They're just around. They're charging into the Blackshot Cavalry, maybe trying to assassinate the Dalian general. That could be useful. Might cause enough of a morale shock to make the Dalians break, but I think a far better tactic would be to hold on to his infantry. And ping-ponging the Eldarin Cavalry back like this in the Angmar backlines is a great way to rack up kills, but it's not a great way to win a match. And another big charge here by the Dalian Cavalry goes into the Broyden River wards. I think we could start to see some breaking here. The Eladris infantry are very, very elite and brave and well-trained, but repeated cavalry charges like this is going to break down any infantry force. Oh, wait, now there's the second company of Dalian Lancers over here, so now one can be charging in while the other is retreating. Reinforcements have been brought up as well in the form of Angmar Halberds and some more Lake Town pikemen, and another brutal charge here into the Eladris Guardians. Really just starting to take its toll. This, again, I want to stress, this is a fight that they should be winning, but Inarius just made some fairly questionable calls here, especially with his cavalry, and Dol-Amroth is doing their best. Look at this. Erythrium of Dol-Amroth are exactly where they need to be, but there's so few of them, and there's 2 units of Dalian cavalry to try and track down. It's just not an option. It's just not possible for them to be everywhere at once. And now the blue team going for an envelopment, and here comes the breaking. The Eladris Guardians beginning to flee in the face of Dale's relentless assault, and with the addition of reinforcements, their fate was all but sealed. And go ahead, kick things up to full speed here. That's pretty well going to be the end, I believe, of the Eladris army. There's still some cavalry over here. Well, they're in my cavalry. It almost seems like Inarius is going for kills at this point, which I think is really unfortunate. These Eldarin cavalry had opportunities to be genuinely useful, and they've kind of eschewed that in favor of picking on some lower tier Snaga units, which I don't think was really necessary. This, however, is a great charge into the rear of this good and bad guard. Boom! Wham bam, thank you ma'am, and most of that unit is going to be dead in the dirt in a matter of moments. And the Elves and Eladris over here are standing strong, and a lot of that is going to come down to the Gwaith-Yarthan and their very sizable morale buff of 5 morale, a whopping 5 morale in 100 meters. Eldarin Cavalry going for another attack here against the Goblin Trackers. It's not really necessary. What is necessary, or rather was to try and win an infantry fight, but I think that's not going to happen for Eladris now. Still, they are killing a lot of these Goblin Trackers. That'll be nice. Oh, but at the cost of one of the Eldarin Cavalrymen. Oh, and now the Witch Realm Inquisitors have showed up. And this is a fight that these Eldarin Cavalry never should have picked. Now, I think this is going to be the end of them. They're going to get hacked to bits by those fearsome melee knights. That's going to be all she wrote for them. And now, what remains of Dol-Amroth and of the flower of Eladris' infantry has been dealt with. There's just a small resistance, I think, being put up down here on this wing. And you have to hand it to the Elves. They performed very well over here. They beat back Angmar, at least the first wave of Angmar. They beat back Dale. They did really, really well for themselves. But ultimately, that's going to be game. Gwaith-Yarthan have broken, and you know things have gone pear-shaped when the Gwaith-Yarthan are breaking. Let's go ahead and turn up a little bit here. I think that's pretty well it. There should be no more resistance left on the map, so we're just waiting for the admit defeats from both players. And there's one, and there's the other. A really good game. I mean, it says 60% here, but it was really more like 70 at the end. That's just with the troops that were quote-unquote healed. It works the same as a single player that way. But yeah, it wasn't super close, but it did show a pretty unique build for Dale. Not something that I think I've ever seen on 0.97, so hats off to Muffin for being willing to be adventurous and to play a little bit dangerously. Great coordination on the part of Team Blue. Team Red left some things to be desired, and I really think that was down mostly to the High Elf player. Some questionable decisions, troops not being where they need to be, just a lot of being out of position, which I think is something that just you manage to eliminate with experience. And Inarius is a little bit more of a newer player, I think. At least to like the really competitive scene. Lord Griffiths, however, did very, very well. I was impressed with how well that Dol-Amroth gave, given the amount of forces that were arrayed against them. So a great game to everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this. There's going to be more coming up next, so stay tuned. Take care, everybody. Oh yeah, and so nobody lynches me down in the comment section. There you go. There's the kills for Muffin's units. Alright, take care, guys.